Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Blue Jays Today. We're your boys. We always got something to say about the Toronto Blue Jays. I'm your host, Adam Peddle.
And I'm your host, Nicholas Playlog. And apparently the offer the Blue Jays have made to Anthony Santander has been leaked. We're going to be looking at what that potential offer is for him. Is it enough to get him to come to the Toronto Blue Jays? And just what the fallout of all of that would look like. Before we get into it, please make sure to hit that like, smash that subscribe button. Let us know your thoughts about all this in the comments down below. So, as we know, Anthony Santander, one of the best available bats remaining on the free agent market, somebody that the Toronto Blue Jays have reportedly badly coveted and want him to come over to this team. That badly coveting has turned into an offer of 4 years, $82 million. That is the reported offer that is on the table right now for Anthony Santander from the Toronto Blue Jays. Adam, is it enough?
I mean, look, first things first, I think it's a very respectful offer. When you look at what Teoscar Hernandez got, it was 3 years, $66 million with some incentives, had some deferral money, had an opt-out in the fourth year. So when you look at that offer, which was $22 million per year, you're like, okay, well, that's around the ballpark of what Anthony Santander. We could split hairs all day and night talking about, well, he's better at this and he's better at that. He's older, he's younger. But effectively, they're the same player in the same position on this free agency market. So it's a respectful offer. It's not disrespectful in any capacity. However, there's some competition right now heating up for Anthony Santander, and I think that this offer right here is very beatable. We know that Santander wants 4 years at least, if not 5 years. But if a team comes out and matches that year total and gives them a little bit more to think about, then the Blue Jays got some work to do, because the teams that are in on that market are the LA Angels. And yes, they're not a great team, but neither are the Toronto Blue Jays. And they got geography, to their advantage right now. And then the other team, this one just came out by John Morosi. Apparently, the Tigers are in on the mix. And they're one of the front runners along with the Toronto Blue Jays. And they actually went to the playoffs last year. So the Blue Jays have some competition. So to circle it all back there, Nick, I mean, it's a good offer, but I don't think it's one that I'm going to be like, wow, smash, except if I'm Anthony Santander.
Right. No, I tend to agree with you there, man. Like, this to me feels like a nice place to be right now for the Toronto Blue Jays, but I don't think that this is where we're going to see this negotiation finish, and I don't think that you're going to get an update being like, Santander to the Blue Jays, 4 years, 82, right? I think that there is still more for him out there, more money for him out there to get him, especially when you look at some of those other teams, right? The LA Angels, they have been known to spend. They, along with the Toronto Blue Jays, are apparently the front runners with the Tigers. We know that they like to spend, and the Detroit Tigers, they've been pretty hesitant about spending in the past.
Right.
But after a nice postseason berth last year, like, it feels like they are now kind of in this mix and looking at their division and thinking, hey, maybe there's a couple wins for the taking here, right? Let's get a big-time slugger like an Anthony Santander, add him to the lineup. That could be the difference for them, which then begs the question, is Anthony Santander the difference for us? Blue Jays won 74 games last year. We need offensive help desperately, everybody. Santander, very quality player, 44 home runs, but does he move the needle enough for the Toronto Blue Jays to be, I don't know, winning 10 more ball games?
Yeah.
What does he really provide here to this squad?
Well, he provides that protection for Vladimir Guerrero Jr. that we've been talking about forever now. Like, you put him right behind Vladdy in that fourth spot, and yeah, maybe you do want to attack Vladdy, but I mean, let's be honest, Vladdy's still a much better player than Santander, but he can provide a little bit more of that pop behind him and maybe driving a few more runners if you get them on base. Now, that's what he provides. Is that going to move the needle? I don't necessarily think so. I think this whole offseason we've been talking about how you need to get Santander and then some. When at one point we had the Corbin Burns bottle on this table and the Anthony Santander bottle.
Right.
Those two players would push the needle because, yeah, you're preventing more runs on one side of the ball, then you're adding a little bit more pop on the other. You can kind of sacrifice a little bit more offense if you're adding to that pitching staff. But at this point, looking at the market right now, there isn't that top quality pitcher guy. And really the only bigger names out there are Santander, Bregman, and Pete Alonso, and you got Jack Flaherty. Is it realistic, for them to get multiple of those guys? Not really. So getting one of those guys isn't going to push the needle for me because you need multiple of those guys who are 3, 4, 5 win players to get to that 8 to 9 to 10 wins that you're looking for right here to push the needle.
I agree. I do think that ultimately we need to temper expectations here. Getting Santander is an amazing start, and it is going to help this lineup. I don't know if it automatically means that you're winning 90 games. However, I do think that it gives you a bit of a foundation, and especially, let's say you get Santander. Let's say it is for a 4-year deal, because my next question is going to be, well, are you comfortable with giving out 4 years or comfortable giving out even 5, right? Because it could go up to that point, right? But if you give him a 4-year deal, and then next offseason, you can lock down Guerrero, right? Assuming his free agency and assuming you go balls to the wall to get him. Well, now for the next 3 years, you have Guerrero and you have protection behind Guerrero. That's your hope anyways. That's what you'd be paying for, and that's what you'd be looking for, right? And that to me, in 2026 looks like a bit of a foundation that you can start to build off of then, and what I would hope to be Guerrero's kind of next tenure here with the Toronto Blue Jays. So a move like this, because it's not a 1-year deal or a 2-year deal, and because he is still only 30 years old, you're not just playing for 2025. I think that you're also planning for 2026 and onwards, and you gotta hope that because he's 30 and there's still time left, that the contract would age, I guess, wellly, or a better way to put that, it would age gracefully.
Yeah, you gotta hope so too. Now, the one thing I could throw out there for Santander as well, I mean, you could say this for a lot of players, but if he's not hitting home runs, he's not that $20 million guy. So you got to hope that he's continuing hitting home runs. I mean, last year he had a batting average of 235, but hit 44 home runs. You're willing to trade that off right now. So obviously there's always going to be risk involved when you're bringing in guys, anybody really, unless it's a Juan Soto. There's always going to be risk involved bringing in guys who have some question marks around him. But I do agree, it would help the future of this team if you set it up a lot better. Now, and the other scary reality of this, what if you don't sign back Vladimir Guerrero Jr. and he goes to free agency, he walks, Bichette walks? Well, at that point, Santander's contract doesn't really mean anything at that point, right? Because he's just going to rot away on this rebuilding ball club. So I guess, again, going back to what I've always said at the beginning of this year, it doesn't matter about the years, really, for the Blue Jays standpoint, because you need him to win now, and you need a guy to win right now. And that's it. It doesn't matter.
I agree, but I guess I'm hopeful that, when Guerrero does hit free agency, you bring him back, and then there's something still there, you can keep doing that whole thing.
There's a bit of a foundation.
Yeah, there's something to him, right? Like all of this does eventually tie together. Yeah, you're right. None of it matters if Guerrero and Bichette walk after the next year. We just got to be hopeful that isn't the case right now. Ultimately, what we know is that 4 years, $82 million is the offer today for the Toronto Blue Jays. I personally don't think that that's going to get it across the finish line. I think if they were to bring it to a 5-year deal, then that's a lot more, I guess, insurance, for Santander, and probably would be enough to finish this one off, right? Because I think a lot of other teams are going to be hesitant to give him that additional year. So if you're capable of doing that, if you're the Toronto Blue Jays, I think that would go a long way. I do love to hear that we are front runners for this guy, though, because even if it's not going to necessarily move the needle to be, AL East winners or anything like that, we do need offensive help, and I don't want to watch fucking, 2-0 ball games all next year. I want to see some home runs. Anthony Santander can hit some home runs.
You don't want to see Will Wagner in the 4 spot with Kirk behind him and Jimenez, Nick? You don't want to see that? Hey guys, time for a quick shout out to the sponsor of this video. Hit your picks and knock it out of the park with Betway. Scan the QR code down below or click the link in the description to join the action. Available in Ontario only, must be 19 years older to participate, and guys, please bet responsibly. Now, back to the content. It's brutal, guys, but yeah, like we need to do something, and this would be the move now. We're being kind of negative where it's like, oh, this is going to push the needle. No, it's not, but you never know. I mean, baseball's a funny sport. I mean, hell, the Tigers went to the playoffs last year.
Absolutely.
The Royals went to the playoffs last year. Nobody pegged those guys of being playoff teams. And the AL East, like some people have been saying in the comments, not the AL East, but the whole AL is pretty wide open right now, and that wild card might be up there. Now I'm feeling a lot of hopium here, but a few things bounce our way, and we're in contention.
Let me put it this way, right? Let's paint it out like this, everybody. keep the lineup up.
Yeah,
please.
man.
You have George Springer up there. I'm not saying that he fully bounces back, but let's say that he gives you a 750 OPS there off at the leadoff spot,
gosh, please.
which would still be a very good
Amazing.
bounce back, but something that could happen. You get the big Bo Bichette bounce back. That's necessary regardless. He's got to be up there with a 300 batting average and a low 800 OPS. Guerrero does exactly what he did last year, continues to do that, and then you bring in Anthony Santander, and there's no regression. He does hit 40 bombs again, and he does have an 800 OPS. Well, now you look at that top four in the lineup, and you start to go, oh shit, there's actually some runs being scored up here. This is kind of a dangerous front half, and when you pair that with the pitching rotation, well, who knows? Maybe we're winning some ball games. Obviously, that's everything going our way. That's hoping that, George Springer gets back to a place and Santander stays the same. And there's a lot of things that would need to go right for that to happen. But when you bring Santander in, you raise your floor up and it gives you more potential to be good, not only next year, but in years following. So ultimately, let's do it.
Let's do it, guys. So we'll be following along on this channel. And, of course, if we do get an Anthony Santander signing, we're going to be live immediately on this channel. But, guys, let us know your thoughts in the comments down below. Would you do the Anthony Santander signing? Of course, I'd smash that deal. But do you think it's enough to get across the finish line? Let us know your thoughts. Be known in the comments down below.
Please hit that like, smash the subscribe button. Also, $3 a month become a Patreon member. Shout out and thank you to all of our current Patreon members and our YouTube members. You guys are amazing.
Guys, thank you so much for watching.
And as always,
go Jays, go!